Welcome to Beerdy, Bruce Lee Central.
When I was growing up, there were two martial arts schools to pick from. It was karate and taekwondo. And I remember one day I was at school and one of the guys in my class came and showed everyone that he had just gotten his black belt in karate. Now, I didn't know what a black belt was. What was that good? Was that bad? I had no idea. And he was just showing everyone that he's become a black belt now in karate. And so the following day, I went down to the karate school and I took a look around. I talked to some people, and it turns out that black belts are the final stage of the karate grade system. You are now a karate master. Of course, you have dans like first dan, fifth dan, 10th dan, a million fucking dan. I don't know how many dans you can have. But the black belt is the final stage. You have become a karate master. So this guy, at the age of 12, had become a karate black belt. Not only him, it turns out that almost everyone at that school was a black belt. So they were giving out black belt like it was candy. So my bullshit radar immediately went through the roof. Boop, boop, boop. How can 12-year-olds get black belts becoming a karate fucking grandmaster, a master of their martial arts at the age of 12? So I went over to the taekwondo school, which was right next door, and it's the same system there. It's the same fucking system there. So my bullshit radar, like I said, went through the roof, and I started doing some research, and I found out that these two are the only schools, these only two schools in the area. Now, my dream when I was a kid was becoming Bruce Lee. Like I was a idol. He was my idol. I was a fan of him since I was a kid. So I wanted to train Jeet Kune, but there's no chance of finding a Jeet Kune school in my city. There were none, simply. So the next best thing for me was to go into boxing. And that's what I did. I went into boxing and I took boxing seriously for a while. I got pretty good, but my coach, he said, okay, listen, your movement is bad. You're not technical enough, but you have incredible power. And that's the first time in my life where someone told me that I had power in my hands. But this would go on to make my whole career later, my martial arts career. So he says, you've got power in your hands, but you're not an all-around boxer. And to be good and to be great, you need to be an all-around boxer. So I continued doing boxing, but just for fun. I wasn't taking it seriously anymore. So fast forward, and now I'm in my 20s, and a friend of mine comes, he calls me and he says that, hey, there's a school opening up, and there's a Wing Chun instructor there, and several other instructors. And so immediately I went to that school and I talked to the people there. And it turns out that one of the instructors at the school is a Jeet Kune Do instructor. So for me, this was great. Finally. And so I'm talking to this guy because I was suspicious at first. I didn't want someone that's, not legit, someone that just an instructor and he thinks he knows what he's talking about. I wanted someone that was legit to train under. And this guy was legit. So it turns out that my instructor, the Jeet Kune Do instructor at the school, was a friend of Taki Kimura and Dan Inosanto. He trained directly under them for years. So this guy was really, really legit as they come. So for me, this was just jackpot, finally. And we started talking and we started sharing Bruce Lee's philosophy. And I mean, this was like home. This was like coming home. This was just the perfect place for me. So we decided that I'm going to train directly under him, and we got along really great. You know, we had the chemistry going on, and he saw that I was an athlete. He saw that had done martial arts earlier. He knew that I'd done boxing at a serious level. And I remember one day he came to me and he just took his hand on my shoulder and he said that, okay, I'm not gonna spar with you anymore. We had done some trapping sparring, and he said, I'm not gonna spar with you anymore because you have way too much power for me to handle. So, what does that mean? Well, I'm Caucasian, right? I'm white, and I'm big. I'm strong, and like I said, I have like fucking gorilla hands. That's just genetic, guys. I have like gorilla arms, really like seriously gorilla power in my arms, and that's, like I said, is just genetics. And whenever we were doing like trapping and sparring, um, my sensei, he knew that I easily outmatched him in power. Of course, he was much better than me in technical and all of that stuff. But when it came to power, I was just on another level. And he told me that right, like to my face. And for an instructor, for a sensei to say something like that, I mean, I had this incredible respect for him just right away, because he was brutally honest, and he knew that these trapping sparring sessions would be uneven because of my power. So his recommendation was for me to train trapping with another guy that was like my size and had a lot of power too. And so that's what I did. I trapped and sparred with another guy that was kind of at my level of power. Uh, so I had so much respect for the guy. I mean, that's a serious martial artist right there. No ego, no, I'm a black belt, I'm better than you, no, nothing. He was like brutally honest, and he said that there is no reason for us to spar together because it's so uneven. And man, from that point he was like, I became a fan of his right then and there. That's a guy right there. That's because let me tell you guys, that's not normal. Let me tell you, in the martial arts worlds, there are a lot of fucking egos out there, and this guy had no ego. His goal was simply to become the best Jeet Kune Do practitioner that there is. And he wanted me to be the best Jeet Kune Do practitioner too. You know, he didn't want to exert his power or his dominance or anything like that. He was just brutally honest. He was living Bruce Lee's philosophy to a point, you know. And that's what a martial art really is. It's a philosophy. Jeet Kune Do is a philosophy. It's not only about punches and kicks and all of that. It's a philosophy. It's a lifestyle. And so a lot of our time was spent discussing Bruce Lee, discussing his philosophy, discussing Jeet Kune Do, sparring, practicing, all of that good stuff. And so, fast forwards a few years, I'm now an instructor too. I'm now a teacher at the school. And the gym is growing and growing and growing. The classes are getting bigger and bigger. and uh, I'm just loving it. I'm so in love with the whole philosophy, and I came to admire Bruce Lee more and more and more the more I learned about Jeet Kune Do. And so one day, the building next to us, a jiu-jitsu black belt opened a school over there, and so they were filling up the classes with with jiu-jitsu practitioners. And this was at the time where jiu-jitsu had a real fad, due to the UFC and the Gracies. And you guys know that early in the UFC, the Gracies beat everyone up, right? Because nobody knew how to defend the takedowns and the grapplings and the locks, the leg locks, the arm locks, all of that stuff. Nobody knew how to defend against that, and so the Gracies just won everything and in the UFC. And so this school opened up and it attracted a lot of guys to that school. And what started to happen is that whenever we would go and lock up for the day, all of the jiu-jitsu guys would like taunt us. We're like, hey, look over there, it's the Bruce Lee guys. Wada! They would like make all the Bruce Lee noises, like, wada, look over there, it's Bruce Lee coming. And they mocked us and taunted us. And this went on for a while. And after a few weeks of this, I just decided that I'd had enough. I'd had enough. And I remember that day I went home, I just sat in bed and I started to think, what can I do here? What can I do here? What can I do about this? So I started making a plan of how to stop this, And my plan was to go directly into the school and challenge the top guy there. Because jiu-jitsu is a ranking system. It has belts like karate and taekwondo. And I wanted to challenge the black belt, the top guy in the school, in front of everyone so they could see how much of a bullshit martial arts this sport of jiu-jitsu is. So I went in there the next day. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want anyone to join me. I wanted to do this on my own. I went in there, and everyone that saw me entering, they knew what was going to happen. They knew that something's up now. something's going down here. So everyone is instantly silent when I go in there. And this was my plan. This was the plan that I concocted the night before. I'm going to challenge the top guy, the black belt, the teacher, the sensei, whatever, challenge him to a jiu-jitsu fight, not a stand-up street fight. If this was a normal street fight, I would annihilate him in seconds. So that's my point. Wasn't to beat him. My point was to show him how much of a bullshit sport this is, how much bullshit jiu-jitsu is. And the only way I could do that is to take him in his own turf, on his own turf, in his own sport. Okay? So I said, I went in there, I said, I pointed at the guy that was the black belt, and I told him, I want to speak with you. And he was like, okay. He comes around and I said, I'm challenging you to a fight, a jiu-jitsu fight here on your own turf. And he was like, man, what are you trying to prove, man? What are you trying to prove? And he said that like 5 times, what am I trying to prove? And I said, you want to know what I'm trying to prove? I'm trying to prove that your jiu-jitsu is bullshit. It's a bullshido. It's a bullshit sport. It's a bullshit martial art. That's what I'm trying to prove. And I said this in front of everyone, and I said it loud. So his response is like, what are you trying to prove, man? I said, I just told you what I'm trying to prove. It seems like he didn't want to engage in the fight. But then one of the students came up and he just raised his hand and he said, "I'll do it. I'll do it." And I like look over to the black belt and I say, "Are you really going to let one of your students do your job for you?" And that triggered him. I now saw in his face that he got pissed. He got angry. I knew I had him. I knew I got him. I knew I hooked him. I triggered him. So he was like, "Okay, okay, let's do this." And I could just see he was pissed now. "Let's do this." And we go over like the rules and all of that stuff. And so my plan was this. I knew that I couldn't go down to the ground and try to grapple with him. I would just lose because he's much more experienced than me. I don't even know jujitsu. I have zero experience in jujitsu. So I knew that I couldn't go down on the ground with this guy. I would just lose. He would get me on some sort of heel hook or some sort of lock, and I would have to tap. And so my idea, my plan was, I'm not gonna let him take me down, and I'm gonna use my power, my gorilla arms, to somehow submit him. And I knew he was going to shoot immediately, go for my legs to take me down. I knew he was going to do this. I knew that 100% he was going to shoot and try to take me down. And so my plan was to intercept him. And I was a master at interception because Jeet Kune is all about interceptions. So I knew that I could intercept him, and I could intercept him really fast, really quickly. So we start off the match, and immediately he's going for my legs. And immediately I catch him when he's taking my legs, when he's shooting. I catch his head and I press it against my pelvis area. The best way to explain this is, in the movie Gladiator, when Commodus is choking his father, um, uh, in his stomach area, his pelvis, with his head there. That's the best way to explain this. I caught him there, and I knew that I had him immediately because I pressed the side of his head towards my pelvis, and I just gave it everything. Like, oh, I just pressed like I've never pressed before, and I could just hear and he just tap, and it was over. It didn't even last 10 seconds. Didn't even last 10 seconds. And he just said something like, "Okay, you got me, you got me. Are you happy now? Are you happy now? Okay, you got me. Congratulations." Like sarcastically saying like, "Are you happy now? Are you happy now?" And I didn't say a word. I just turned around and I just left, and I never saw the guy again. And a few days later, some of the guys from the gym came to our gym, and I thought that, okay, here we go. They're coming here to fight, but they didn't come to fight. They came actually to join the gym, and they asked me, "Is like, is it okay if we join the gym?" Like, I'm like, "Sure, of course." And so a lot of guys came from the jiu-jitsu gym to our Jeet Kune gym, and yeah, that's basically it. That's the story. And I mean, I made my point, and I'm not saying that jujitsu is a waste of time. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you enjoy jujitsu and it's rewarding to you, then you should do it. Go enjoy it, go train, go have fun, whatever. But as a martial art, it's garbage. It's nonsense. It's if I can go in and take a top black belt and submit him within 10 fucking seconds, that's a garbage martial arts. And if someone could come to my school and challenge me at a a match of Jeet Kune Do or Kung Fu or a street fight and win, so someone that's not experienced in martial arts can come to my gym and beat me, I'll say that my sport is garbage. I would admit that my sport is garbage, but that's not going to happen. I can tell you right now that that's never going to happen. You're never going to go into a Jeet Kune Do school and take the sensei there or the master there, or the instructor, and beat him if you don't have any experience in martial arts. It's the same with boxing. You're not going to go into a boxing studio and take the top boxer there and outbox him. That's not going to happen, okay? It's simply not going to happen. But with jiu-jitsu, you can go and take the top black belt and you can submit him like I did with simply using my power, my hands, and outpower him. And that's why I'm saying it's a bullshit sport. And it's the same with karate and taekwondo, all these belt sports. It's you can take your fucking belt. If you have a belt at home right now, go pick up your belt and throw it in the fucking garbage. Okay, it's I mean it. Go right now, stand up, go take the belt and throw it in the fucking garbage. That's what it is. It's garbage. When you're giving out belts like it's fucking candy, it means nothing anymore. It's nonsense. You know, if you're a martial artist and you use jiu-jitsu as a supplement, that's okay. So let's say you're a Jeet Kune Do practitioner and you train jiu-jitsu on the side as a supplement, something to make yourself better in the ground games. That's okay. That's okay. Bruce Lee did that. He used jiu-jitsu as a supplement. Uh, but that being your main martial art, that's completely nonsense. In of its own, it's nothing. It's an absolute nothing sport, because the only thing you learn there is rolling around on the fucking floor trying to submit one another. And that's not how real life works. In real life, you use everything. That's what Jeet Kune Do is about. Jeet Kune Do is about combining everything into one, you know? And Jiu-Jitsu is not about that. Jiu-Jitsu is just about hooks and grapplings and catching your opponent and rolling around and all that fucking shit. Joe Rogan is a jiu-jitsu black belt, okay? He's a jiu-jitsu black belt, and he always talks about, oh, jiu-jitsu this, jiu-jitsu that, and he's like, people that have a jiu-jitsu black belt, he always talks about them like, oh wow, that guy's a jiu-jitsu black belt, like that's supposed to mean something. It means fucking nothing. And you know what? I'm calling out Joe Rogan right now. I could do exactly what I did to that guy in that gym. I could do that to Joe Rogan. If he wants to, we can set up a match and we can take a purely jiu-jitsu match in his home turf, on his turf, and I could beat him. I'm calling him out right now. I could beat Joe Rogan in jiu-jitsu without knowing any fucking jiu-jitsu. I could tap him out. I'm saying that right now. And I bet you Joe Rogan knows that I could do that. I bet you he knows that I could do that. And you know why? Because he's not stupid. He knows a lot about martial arts and the UFC and all of that. And he knows that this jiu-jitsu is a very, very incomplete sport. If you want, like I said, if you want to train jiu-jitsu, just use it as training, and you're getting a lot of rewards from. It's rewarding for you to train jiu-jitsu. Go ahead, do it, but don't rely on it as a martial arts. And I bet you Joe Rogan knows that. And so, yeah, and Joe Rogan is he used to do taekwondo at a high level too. Another bullshit sport. Yeah, all of these belt sports They're very, very incomplete and very, very narrow. And the fact that they're giving out these belts like candy is just nonsense. Becoming a Jeet Kune Do master, you probably have to train Jeet Kune Do for like 50 years to really master it. To really master it. It's such a complex martial arts. There's so many elements to it. You're never done studying. You're never done studying because there are so many elements to take in, and it's to require the perfectionism that Bruce Lee had. It's such a, I mean, Bruce Lee was crazy. He trained 14 hours a day, and normal people don't do that. Bruce Lee reached that ridiculous level because he trained every single day for like 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, every single day, 365 days a year. Like normal people can't do that. Normal people have lives and jobs and all of that stuff. And plus we don't have Bruce Lee's genetics, so there are limitations to what we can do. So maybe like training 2 hours 2 hours 3-4 times a week, something like that. And to reach the level Bruce Lee reached, you would have to train until you're like 50, 60, 70 to reach that level. And you're never going to reach that level anyway because you're not Bruce Lee. But like I said, to reach a level, a master level, like now, I'm not even close to reaching a master level at Jeet Kune Do. Not even close. Not even close to reaching. And I've been doing it for 20 years, but I'm not even close. I mean, over 20 years. I've been doing it for over 20 years. I'm not even close to being at a master level. So if I was doing any other martial arts like Taekwondo, Karate, or Jiu Jitsu, I would be a black belt now. But in Jeet Kune Do, nope, you're not even close. I'm gonna probably have to do this another 20 years, and that's when I'm gonna reach that master level. Uh, so yeah, there you go, guys. I mean, if you're starting up in a martial art, find a good Jeet Kune Do school or a Wing Chun school, some sort of kung fu school at your area, and try to find a Jeet Kune Do instructor. Or if you can't, find something in Wing Chun. Or yeah, I mean, don't waste your time doing karate or taekwondo or jiu-jitsu. Um, like I said, Jeet Kune Do is Jiu-Jitsu. There's Jiu-Jitsu in Jeet Kune Do. There's exactly the right amount of Jiu-Jitsu in Jeet Kune Do. Like I said, I only needed to learn how to stop that guy from taking me down. And I did that. I intercepted his takedown and I squoze his head hard enough for him to tap. That's the only thing I needed to learn to take that guy out. Okay? That's 6 months of jujitsu training gets you that, okay? Gets you to that level. That's all you need to learn. And then you combine all the other elements of Jeet Kune Do into one. And then you have what Bruce Lee talked about. You have a little bit of karate here, you have a little bit of taekwondo here, you have a little bit of this, of boxing, of that, and jiu-jitsu, and all of that combined into one. That's how you become an all-around martial artist. That's the philosophy of Bruce Lee. That's the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do. So don't waste your life, okay, rolling around like a fucking idiot trying to get a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. Use your time wisely. Try Jeet Kune Do. That is a worthwhile martial art. That it's not only martial arts, guy. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's a philosophy, and yeah, You're always striving to improve. You're never done. You're never ever done. Okay, guys. Thanks for listening. See you guys later. Bye.